Wealth beyond measure, Outlander.
Wealth beyond measure, Outlander. What's up? This is Andrew and Nico again. We're back. We're gonna do more chores for House Telvanni. More bitch work. The last one was really easy though, so. Do you want chores? Well, I'm not asking for them, but sure. We have to deliver some Cure Blight potions. Andil and Tel Voss. Oh, we have to find the Cure Blight potions. Good thing we made 500 gold on the last mission because we're not poor anymore. Yeah, this area of the map is
precious, so
interesting because it's just a cluster of all the Telvanni cities, and they all look very similar, and they all have Tel names, most of them anyway. It's very telling.
So is there a specific kind of potion you have to get from like a specific place, or do you just sort of throw cure any sort?
Just find the Cure Blight potions from any vendor, I guess.
Let's see.
Yeah, in Morrowind they had the sicknesses were divided into regular, common disease, and blight, which was, I believe, the rationale was the whole Red Mountain thing kind of created the blight. Like, blight was the more intense sickness you get, and it was kind of centered around really like messed up creatures around Red Mountain, and blight was like, you know, the really bad thing.
Hurry this up,
like,
will
you talk to people when you have blight and they're like, oh, you have a blight disease, stay away from me.
I see.
And then in the next games they were just like, you have a disease.
I don't ever remember getting diseased in Skyrim. Do they still have diseases?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's been a little while since I've played.
Yep, there are diseases, vampirism, werewolf. And then Oblivion randomly did away with the werewolf, but kept the vampirism. And then in Skyrim, they brought back the werewolf, which was totally badass. I don't know if you ever played as a werewolf in Skyrim, but it's just awesome.
I don't know, like, I think it wasn't scaled well for the difficulty. I found when I became a werewolf, I couldn't survive on the higher difficulties. It was better for me just to use my regular weapons and armor. I don't know exactly why that was.
You said you played on one of the harder difficulties?
Yeah, the hardest difficulty that wasn't that new hard. I don't remember. It was like Master or something like that. Not the new
Legendary.
But yeah. Yeah, it wasn't scaled well for surviving.
Yeah, I've never played any of the Elder Scrolls on harder difficulties. I guess. I don't know.
I will listen, Outlander.
Never really felt compelled to.
I actually enjoy it somewhat. Unfortunately,
I will listen, Outlander.
the Elder Scrolls aren't exactly like super balanced games in terms of gameplay. None of their systems really hold up if you really like bash on them. Like, for example, the economy. Eventually, you end up with tons of gold, and there's really nothing you can't buy.
Right.
For example, and same thing with the scaling of enemies. At certain points in the games, it's easy to break the systems if you're really trying. So it's not really like. So it's not as, I guess it's not really as relevant
diseased creature.
to like say that having a harder difficulty will necessarily present more of a challenge. It'll be harder, but at some point the scaling, brings it back to a reasonable level. So it's more just sort of like a matter of taste.
Right.
Like in most of the time, I would think like for a game it would be best to keep the difficulty at the same, to have sort of like a across the board like this level of difficulty experience. For example, if you want it to be easy, you pick easy. But for the Elder Scrolls, it seems more like you can just use it sort of as a slider for taste. If it's really getting easy, you can just put it up a bit. If it's just too hard, you can put it down and not really feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in Morrowind, Morrowind was... Yeah, that's weird. In Morrowind, it has the numerical slider. In the Skyrim and Oblivion, it's just kind of like, you have normal, then, the next one up and then the next one up. It's not like numerical like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting because the difficulty will affect combat, but as you said, eventually, it doesn't really affect the economies or anything. So you could get a huge fortune on the hardest difficulty and just be able to buy every health potion you could possibly need. And the difficulty wouldn't really matter because you just drink the health potion when your health gets low.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, the challenge in the Elder Scrolls games is not the most appealing part of the game. The games are really about like self-expression, like sort of being able to role play and like explore all the stuff more so than having a like really like trying to like find out the most efficient way to do something. I mean, there are games that are designed around that gameplay of like trying to like surmount the difficulty of the systems, but that's not really the main focus of these games.
Right. It's true.
The challenge and the difficulty sliders and all that's more just to sort of enhance the illusion of the exploration, so you don't feel that it's all like meaningless.
Mm-hmm. So we're in Voss right now. Telvoss is up here, I believe, and we're looking for the apothecary to deliver the potions to. Again, as I mentioned in the past videos, this is only my second time ever playing Telvanni, and I'm not familiar with the geography of this part of the map anyway, so I'm not really exactly sure where I'm going, but we'll see. Yeah, each of the, I guess the Telvanni seats, these little towns, are all kind of built around a wizard who, the fuck? A wizard who grows this, basis, their home, and then the town kind of spreads up around it. I don't think my iron thing can hit him. This is exactly what a Telvanni wizard would do. Have summon scamps around his tower. Okay.
Get him.
Do I have anything in here?
This little guy's giving you trouble.
Yeah. Oh, Ancestor Ghost. It's doing its job. Please last long enough to kill this thing. Oh, you are boss. Look at that.
It's pretty scary.
He's gonna get laid so much with that story.
They don't, I guess they don't really, I don't know. I would think, like, if you're summoning the ancestor ghost, you're not summoning the skeleton of your ancestor, but more like the person.
Yeah.
But not in the Morrowind universe, I guess.
Yeah. They kind of started leaning toward that more in the other games.
Yeah, you do see a lot more sort of just like ghostly
So what do you
people wandering around in the other games.
Totally forgot about this place. I forget who the master of Tel Voss is, but he has a little Dwemer museum. Some of the armor and weapons, and I'm sure if I took it, these guys would pummel me to death, but...
Quickly, Outlander.
Fun fact, I believe, the market, sale, and transport of Dwemer items is actually illegal in Morrowind. It's regulated by the Empire, I believe.
The prey approaches.
Of course, you can sell the stuff to any merchant. It's not really enforced. But the spirit behind it is that it's kind of an illegal commodity.
Isn't a lot of the stuff that isn't legal sort of on the mainland legal here? Like, it's sort of more isolated, I feel. Like, for instance, is slavery, was it just the time period that slavery was sort of allowed here, or is it because it's a more isolated community?
I think it's both. Slavery was very important to the Dunmer at this point in the history, I believe. Like, the dialogue in this game is very much, you know, don't take our slaves away kind of thing. But also, you have to remember the fact that Vardenfell, the island we're playing, is, you know, inside of... Can I get to that from here? No, I have to levitate.
Inside of the landmass.
Right, it's inside of this, you know, landmass, so... Not only is, I think, Morrowind already kind of less regulated than, you know, the mainland of Cyrodiil, but it's also... You know, Vardenfell is still just another subsection of that. That's even more, you know, buried within the... you know, the further away from Cyrodiil. It's kind of surrounded by all the other elements of Morrowind, so... Yeah.
Please, I don't wish to catch whatever you have.
I think it's both. Fun fact, this guy has, I believe, one of the only Daedra gauntlets in the game. It's pretty inconspicuous, actually.
Quickly, Outlander. I haven't much time. Where
This
is
guy.
that slave?
Arion. I have no idea. Where's your apothecary? Drugs. Oh, no, it's empty. That means it's used
What was
drugs.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The iconic skooma bottle, which I can't believe they didn't sort of translate that to like Oblivion. I don't remember ever encountering it in Skyrim.
Right.
I think it's there, but I didn't ever see it. But in Oblivion, it's just another one of those bottles you find everywhere. Those little pink ones.
Yeah. Well, in Oblivion, they're a little smaller. So that's something I learned.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Fresh game.
But they do have the same like pink texture.
You have something to say to
This
me?
guy is a nice example of a full set of dwarven armor, minus the shield.
What are the effects of skooma? Isn't it like
I don't
crack
know.
or something?
Yeah. I think that's the basic idea.
So how come they never represented that with like any gameplay stuff? I mean, it's pretty recognizable as like one of the big drugs of the world, but I was sort of like I don't know. I sort of gave it
You have
that
something
they
to
just
say to
couldn't
me?
program it in for Morrowind and stuff. But when Oblivion came around, there was not really any drug-like effect for using it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a pretty big missed opportunity actually, because especially in Oblivion and Skyrim, they got a lot more creative with the scripting effects. So you can have weird stuff like, in Skyrim, you know, use the become ethereal shout, and your screen takes kind of a bluish, ghosty hue, and there's like a trail of wisp surrounding your character. So it's totally possible for them to do something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, and that's, you know, that they do that with so many different other things. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me that was something they should have done.
Right.
They, you know, it's making the world feel real with those little touches.
Need one of these. Potion of cure common disease. We're sick right now. I mean, I guess you would argue something along the lines of, you know, we don't want to really represent drug use that much.
That's true.
But at the same time, you can behead people, so it's like, you know, what's the line?
That's true. Well, I remember with Oblivion, I mean, there was that whole thing about its rating changing all those times.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Speak your needs.
Maybe that was the rationale for it. They were, you know, I guess, you know, drugs and violence and stuff are sort of the things that define where you fall, but it's not like they dialed it back with the violence at all.
No.
I mean, and that's why I got that, you know, it went from teen to M.
Right.
But I don't know. It does seem in the United States we're more sensitive to things other than violence.
Yeah, I was about to say that, because
Like, our entertainment's super violent, and, you know, we're sort of like okay with that, but other little things.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at the whole hot coffee mod controversy with GTA. It's like, you know, you can saw hookers in half in GTA, but God forbid you can see pixelated tits.
Yeah, for real. I mean, really, if you think about it, the intensity of those two experiences, I mean, which one's truly more horrifying?
Mm-hmm.
But, oh well.
It's like pixelated tits aren't harming anyone, and I doubt, you know, being able to saw a hooker in half with a chainsaw in a video game is damaging either. But if you were to point a gun to my head and say, which one of these is worse, you know, I'm gonna say sawing a hooker in half.
Yeah.
And in Vice City, you could shoot people's heads off, and they took that out later. So it's like, where's the line? Why is it pixelated tits for a mod that wasn't even approved by Rockstar?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I think these are problems probably of that video games are a new creative medium, and they just haven't they're under a lot of like, they have to make a lot of like compromises that other mediums don't have to, just because they're trying to vie for legitimacy. So I think as time goes on, a lot of these issues with these weird like concessions will sort of
Yes, Outlander. What
sort
do
of
you want?
dissolve as people accept that video games, you know, aren't like this, you know, new evil invading force.
Yeah. Especially as, you know, they get more and more high definition. It's like, you know, back in the 80s when you had the arcade games of Miss Pac-Man, it's like, you know, you can very easily differentiate between real world and, you know, the arcade. But now it's like, you can render world environments in a game, and you're like, you know, you look outside your window and you're like, wow, I can't tell the difference, you know?
Yeah.
So it feels a lot more real. Daedra skin. We have to find Daedra skin and deliver it to Arion. Now, we're not really exactly in Daedra fighting shape right now. So I'm gonna see if we can just buy one. We have Scamp skin, but that won't count it.
From the same plane. Different alchemical properties, though.
Right. It's one of the things that kind of bummed me out in the later Elder Scrolls was they took out a lot of the kind of more unique Daedra. Like, they took out the Winged Twilights. They took out the Hungers temporarily. They brought them back for Shivering Isles in Oblivion.
Yes,
and then,
Outlander.
I believe
What do you want?
in Skyrim they might have Hunger. Don't quote me on that. I might have a mod that has Hungers in it. Again, my mod list is so, it's like maybe at 120, and I have no idea what the vanilla game is like, so there might be Hungers in
Is there something you want?
Skyrim, but
I really don't have time for this,
yeah,
so make it
I was kind of
quick.
bummed how they took out some of the weirder varieties of Daedra.
I mean, again, it comes back to that discussion we were having about accessibility. Oh, I wonder if they're making stylistic concessions for accessibility, like we saw from Morrowind to Oblivion. That, I mean, it could have just been coincidence that they had always conceived of like Cyrodiil as a more traditional medieval place, but in a way, that fits into people's conception of a fantasy setting, and could be, could be seen as like they're always looking to, I don't know, be more average to appeal to more people.
Right.
I mean, that could be a reason for them sort of leaving out some of the weirder Daedra. I mean, that's a terrible reason. That's one of the cool things, is the unique things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. I mean, Skyrim felt like it was getting back to the Morrowind stuff. It felt a lot more, I guess, kind
My
of
time is precious, so make it quick.
untamed. That was just, you know, the tone I felt for the game overall. But obviously Oblivion was very kind of traditional fantasy elements, and it being the seat of, you know, the Empire, you would probably expect the wilderness and whatnot to be under control a little bit more. And then of course you have the Oblivion Crisis, which brought in the Daedra, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential to view kind of Morrowind and Skyrim as a lot closer to each other than they are Oblivion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
because you know you in both games you have stuff like you know the Dwemer ruins. In both games you have a lot more smaller towns than, you know, just concentrated cities. Like the Oblivion map was very much, you know, Coral, Cheydinhal, Bruma, Breville, those cities, and then the Imperial City. In Skyrim and Morrowind, it was kind of more, you had the big places, but there were also a lot of dotted settlements around. And, you know, a bunch of small details that I think match Skyrim up to Morrowind closer than to Oblivion.
Yeah.
I think I have to get a levitate spell to get back up to Arion, which sucks because I don't have one, or a levitate potion, and I can't cast the spell. I'm too dumb. It's alteration. Alteration is like the one skill we didn't pick.
Go ahead.
Oops.
What do you need?
Oh, forgot about this. The Telvos jail has like a little mini dungeon in it. I just need a levitate potion. These things are so puny in
Go
this
ahead,
game.
I'm listening.
In Skyrim, they're like, you know, 2 times your size.
Yeah.
That's it. She's gone too far. I'll see her disgraced before the council. Yes.
I guess that brings to mind when, you know, talking about the stylistic differences of the different Elder Scrolls games. Maybe one of the reasons they don't do some of the stranger creatures and stuff is because of the greater fidelity of the games. The more realistically rendered everything is, maybe the harder it is to execute on the more out there designs, you know, convincingly.
Might be the case.
With lower resolution, you know, you have to sort of imagine some of the details.
Right.
So it's easier to, you know, fill in the gaps where it might not quite meet up with reality.
Mm-hmm. No idea how long. Well, I know it's gonna last 30 seconds, but I'm not sure when it's gonna wear out, so I'm just gonna get up here as high as I can first before it wears off.
May I help you?
I love those helmets.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
I think the whole bold mold armor in general is, to me, it's one of the big kind of stylistic markings of Morrowind. When I think of Morrowind, I always think of the 3 Great House Guards who all wear bone mold in various, you know, subtypes of it. It's very distinct armor, I think. Would I like to know how to paralyze? Sure. I know the paralyze spell, which is cheap and easy to cast apparently, so that's nice. So I bought the Daedra skin for like 194 gold, and he paid me 300 gold for it.
Do you
so.
want something from me?
Yeah.
A trading simulation game.
Yeah. So far, House Telvanni is just delivering crap to people. Voss is an interesting town. Again, I've never really been to it that often, but it's just, it's, you have like the traditional kind of Vivek style buildings, but it's all the way out here where you don't really see that kind of building. So it feels out of place, and it's all like farming houses. I don't know, it just kind of seems weird in a good way.
There aren't many really big and open games like the Elder Scrolls and like Fallout and stuff. So I'm not aware of any, but I'm wondering if maybe it would be possible to execute on a game like this, but in like a more serious sci-fi setting. Because I mean, they have the Fallout, which is kind of science fiction, but it's very,
Go ahead.
you know, it's not like what you think of as really conventional futuristic stuff.
Is there something I
Do you think it would be possible to execute on that with this style of game?
I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't really know of any examples of people doing that either, but if you do, write us in the comments, because we'd love to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want Chores? What did I do? Oh, Daedra skin. Can I advance again? Haven't done enough chores. So I'm working my way around the mouth chamber. I don't think that's its official name. What's its official name? The Telvanni Council House. I like mouth chamber better. It's like I'm at a dentist's office. There are so many mouths.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
Actually, that's a dumb thing to say, because no matter where you go, there's usually a lot of mouths. Anyway, with that really stupid analogy, we're gonna cut it off for today. Instead of saving in front of this guy's face, we're gonna save in front of this guy's face.
Yes,
Oh, this
Outlander,
woman's
what
face.
do you want?
So, until next time, when we'll continue doing chores. See ya!
Peace.